I was thinking a lot about how the show came to be for me and when I decided I really wanted to do it, because it was something completely out of my realm, and it wasn't a medium I was familiar with the direct contact to the audience. And I realized it was all about exploring my own journey. And I think it's something that we all go through. We all have moments where we kind of re-examine exactly what it is that we're doing and how we're getting to the places that we're trying to get to. And that's exactly what your journey is. It's how you get from one stage of your life to the next, from one chapter to the next. It's just all a series of moments. A big part of our journeys is other people, our relationships with other people. And I realized that no one is really exempt from that aspect of having a journey of meeting other people along your path. Like, you're not ever totally isolated. You're never totally on your own, or you're never as fully detached from the rest of the world or society as you think you are. It's something that I feel like people aren't comfortable with. We're not comfortable with having other people be a part of our journeys as a society. And not everyone, obviously. Some people are more comfortable than others. But there are people who struggle with that. They struggle with their journey. They struggle with the fact that they have a past and they've had past relationships, and they struggle with their current relationships and the relationships they'll have in the future, and how your present and your past relationships affect your future relationships, and how it shifts your journey from one moment to the next. And I think that a big part of one's journey is being proud of who you were and being able to look forward and being able to accept that you have to at some point realize that as an individual you are the sum of your parts. It's not just here's who I am right now. It's who are you today and how did you get there, and what about this moment and the past moments is going to get you to the next moment, and how is it going to affect how you are in those future moments of your life. I think that a lot of times our journeys don't so much change as we kind of go off the path. And there's something that I was reading, and it was talking about how the biggest difficulty in people's journeys is that sometimes we get in our own ways, and that we create obstacles for ourselves that aren't really there, or we find ways to be disruptive to our own path. We find ways to kind of say, how am I going to get off course, almost? And it's a bizarre self-sabotage that's unintentional, and sometimes it's just other factors of life coming into play. It's not that you're ever off your journey, it's just sometimes you make a little detour, or you make a wrong turn and you have to circle back around, or you just kind of get back on track and refocus. And I think the most important thing is, whether your path is about finding yourself or someone else or happiness or fulfillment, whatever it is, you remember that no setback is ever permanent. You can always come back from something. You do have to be careful of constantly having setbacks that make it harder and harder for you to elevate yourself and move in the direction you're trying to go towards. But there's nothing wrong with looking at certain areas of your life and having a little bit of retrospect and saying, here's where I maybe excelled or didn't really achieve as much as I'd wanted to or as I'd hoped, and how can I refocus my energy so that I'm not in that sort of a position again. A lot of times on our journeys, I think we encounter people or situations that test us, that test our limits, and it's not always a learning experience in the sense of, did I know this before? Did I not know this before? Sometimes you're learning how to always re-educate yourself and kind of say, maybe I need a tune-up, maybe I need to re-examine certain facets of myself that don't get exercised enough, like your patience, compassion, openness to things. And you kind of have to exercise those things. You really have to look at whether or not those are aspects of your life that you're staying true to or are still a large part of your persona and the energy you put out into the world. I feel that people don't always recognize the power of one's energy and how that affects other people. I feel that a lot of times people kind of whitewash emotions, and they whitewash how what they say or do affects other people. Be conscious of the energy you're putting out, and the energy you put out is what people react to, and they respond to that, and that affects your journey with them as an individual, and how as two people your journey works or doesn't work. The energies we put out throughout our life and throughout our journey is very important to how our path goes, and whether or not you're conscious of it or it's deliberate, it does make an impact. It totally makes all the difference in the world, and it affects how people respond to you, how they treat you, how they interpret your behaviors and intentions, and whether or not they trust you or how they express themselves around you. It's one of the single most vital things in how our path goes, because there are times where you're not totally in charge of your own energy, that you're reacting to someone else's energy, you're reacting to energy from the rest of the world, and over time I believe your energy can change. If you are constantly reacting negatively to negative energy, your own energy that you project, no matter whether or not you're having a good day or bad day, can start to be negative, and that affects the people you encounter. It affects the relationships you develop and how your journey can change, quite frankly, for the better or the worst. I feel that a lot of times when people feel like their journey in life is changing, or that their path or their direction is changing, it's not so much that it's changing, it's that you're changing, and that, I guess quite frankly, because you don't know what's going to happen next. It feels like it's change. It feels like it's different. But you can't predict what's going to happen. You have no further insight from one moment to the next. There's something terrifying about that, about not knowing exactly where your journey is headed. And there's something comforting about that, because also it eliminates the pressure of feeling like I'm constantly not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm constantly moving away from the thing that I am supposed to be doing. But I think that's just a big part of being passionate about the direction you're going in with your life and knowing what you want. And I believe that a big part of my journey with this show was to allow myself to think freely and to share with others my experience as it's happening. And it's interesting to kind of do that, because at some point I'll look back at this part of my journey, and where I am in the future, it'll be interesting to kind of go back and say, it's funny, or it's ironic or interesting, what I felt I knew then and what I feel like I know now. And they may be very similar, they may be totally different. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed going on this individual journey with all of you and sharing it with all of you guys. It's been really liberating and fascinating. I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. So, thank you for going on this journey with me and letting me share with you guys.
It's a wrap.